We're in Zolder for the second round of the 2013 FIA GT Series. The first race in Nogaro was an absolute thriller, with rain coming into play as well, which may well happen here at this famous Belgian circuit with its notorious Belgian weather. But there was one man who stole the headlines in Nogaro, Sebastien Loeb. He won his debut race. Let's see how.
Stop. Now try on the right side. Quick jump, Sebastian. Quick jump.
Starting from pole position after winning the qualifying race, Loeb held the lead into the main race, which was started behind the safety car because of the wet conditions. There was some bumping and some boring, Carlos Vieira holding a very impressive slide after he came under attack from Caca Bueno, but up at the front it was a battle between Loeb and Meyer Melnoff. Matthias Stumpf got pushed onto the grass coming down towards the hairpin in some fantastic racing, but that was the key moment of the race. Sebastien Loeb taking off his seatbelts before he was allowed to, and later on that would see him be given a drive-through penalty, even though he came out second to René Rast, who was now in the lead. Alvaro Parent tapped the back of Rast, which sent Rast spinning down the order, but because of the McLaren's penalty, Rast would then get past again. Laurens Vanthoor fought his way through to take third place overall, taking 2 places on the final lap. René Rast and Nicky Meyer-Melnoff crossed the line to win the race. They were then handed a 30-second penalty for not turning off their engine at the pit stops, which meant that WRT came over with a 1-2. Edvard Sandström and Frank Stippler winning the race, with Ortelli and Laurens Vanthoor finishing in second. The BMW Team Brazil squad enjoyed a decent weekend in their first outing in the FIA GT Series, but Caca Bueno is now hoping for more.
In the first part of the lap, we have a lot of fast corners. The BMW go well in this part of circuits. In the last part of circuits, not so good because not so much power, but I believe in a good weekend.
The HTP Gravity Charoux squad had an excellent weekend in Nogaro, and coming here to Zolder, Alan Day and Maximilian Buch are second in the championship. Day, though, isn't as confident this weekend.
I'm not expecting too much result here in Zolder because it's not really fit, the Mercedes car here, but actually it looks okay. I'm looking forward for good results also, like Nogaro.
There's quite a lot of Belgian drivers in the field, and 2 of them are at Phoenix Racing. Anthony Kumpen is a regular Spa 24-hour racer, and he's joined by Enzo Eid.
For us, Zolder is our home track, so Anthony won 6 times the 24 hours of Zolder, and I won it 1 time, so we have a lot of fans over here, and for sure we want to have the best possible result over here.
While Sebastien Loeb and Alvaro Parent took the headlines, it was a difficult weekend for the sister car at Sebastien Loeb Racing. Mike Parisi and Andreas Zuber are looking to put things back on track here in Belgium.
In Nogaro we were super quick, and in the end we had no results, so it was quite frustrating. And here I think we're also quite quick. Without all the problems what we had in Nogaro, we should be ready for a podium.
WRT Audi dominated in Nogaro with Edvard Sandström and Frank Stippler leading the championship here in Belgium, but Laurens Vanthoor can see the Zolder circuit every time he brushes his teeth in the morning, so he should be strong.
It's a home race for me, it's a home race for the Belgian Audi Club, for WRT, so it's an important weekend for us. I think we are pretty good. It's difficult to predict, we have to wait and see tomorrow qualifying, and from then on I hope we can do a good job. We will try our best.
A new entry for this weekend is the Reiter Engineering Lamborghini of Peter Cox and Stefan Rosina. The Lamborghini should be strong around this Zolder circuit, as Hans Reiter, the team boss, explains.
In the past years, Lamborghini was always very strong on this circuit. I must say it's our favorite circuit. Today we only reached 5th position, which was a bit of a disappointment. We are competitive, but do we really go for the podium? It will be a hard fight, and I'm much less optimistic than I have been yesterday.
The number 7 road drive competitions car are a little bit disappointed with how their machine is performing here in Zolder, but Matthias Stumpf is still confident they can get something out of the weekend.
is the best for us to rain in the track, then the track be dry. We know we have a good car on the first part of the circuit, and I think this will give some advantages to us, get a good result here.
The biggest surprise from Nogaro was probably the Pro-Am pairing of Cesar Campanico and Carlos Vieira in their Audi R8. Campanico is hoping for more success this weekend.
I think we have a good pace. We are in the top 3 Pro-Am, which is our aim. The race, the important is to keep good points for the Pro-Am category.
The Grasser Racing Lamborghini was a late addition to the entry in Nogaro, and as a result, things were a little bit difficult to get used to. Harry Procek knew the car already, but for Baumann it was a different story.
I'm used to it because I drove last year with Leipert also in the EM, and but for Dominic it was completely new. I think for the first time he did a good job, especially in the rain. It works well, so hopefully we can do here the same good job than in Nogaro.
RJ and Nissan, running the GT Academy drivers, will be looking for another strong performance. Wolfgang Reip is at his home circuit, and he's joined by the Russian Mark Shushitsky.
For us it's hard, you know, it's first time in this championship in this car, so every time we learn a lot, and now we learn track in Zolder, which is very difficult. I hope it will be okay for us.
AF Corse Ferrari didn't race in Nogaro because Fabio Onidi crashed into the pit wall in qualifying. Naturally, he's going to be hoping he can perform a little better here in Belgium.
We are positive from tomorrow. We expect something good. I'm not sure because in the last free practice we didn't try with the rain. So we expect something good, but we will see.
Seyfarth Motorsport have ended a second Mercedes SLS this weekend. Paulo Bonifacio is a regular GT driver, and Duda Rossa is the reigning Brazilian GT champion.
I feel like I'm home. I like to race here. It's a very professional races and drivers and teams. We do the rest of this championship, the next 5 races. Let's see if you can get some victories or the title.
So more than 20 drivers will be fighting to claim top honours in both their class and overall. It's set to be a thrilling weekend of racing. Good afternoon and welcome to the qualifying race for the second round of the FIA GT Series of 2013. Our trip around the world takes us to Belgium next here at the Zolder circuit, and what an exciting afternoon of racing it's set to be. My name's Jack Nichols. Alongside me here in the commentary box is a man who knows Zolder very well, John Watson. So as the cars come around turn 2 and 3 on pole position, we have Stephane Ortelli in that number 24 Lamborghini Blancpain Reiter engineering car. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is going to be Sergei Afanasyev in the number 2 HTP Gravity Charouz car. Here's a look at the grid in actual fact, so you will see Rossina on pole, Afanasyev alongside him in the Mercedes. The second row of the grid sees Laurens Vanthoor at his home race alongside Mike Parisi in the first, Sebastien Loeb racing McLaren. Frank Stippler and Anthony Kumpen are then behind. Anthony Kumpen, also another Belgian driver. René Rast, expect to see him come through the field a little bit more because the Audis were a little bit surprisingly slow when it came down to it in qualifying. Alex Buncombe and Caca Bueno completing the top 10, the first of our Brazilian drivers. He's closely followed by his teammate Sergio Jimenez and Cesar Campanico, the Portuguese driver. The only Ferrari out of Fabio Onidi is starting there in 14th place. Karun Chandok will start in 15th place, the ex-Formula 1 racer alongside Matthias Stumpf. Wolfgang Reip we saw get away, and Paulo Bonifacio making his debut to the series, a second Mercedes SLS being entered by Seyfarth Motorsport. That machine is all orange, very, very easy to spot, and Alvaro Parent will bring up the rear. We're on board with Alvaro Parent then, the last man in the field, and they will all start to move into their 2x2 formation now. So Stephane Ortelli on pole position in the Lamborghini. Alongside him will be Sergei Afanasyev. The qualifying race for round 2 about to get underway. The Lamborghini of Stephane Ortelli on pole position when the lights go out. Everyone's staring at the red lights. They go out now. It's a great start from Anthony Kumpen looking towards the inside. He's blocked off though on the run down to the first corner. Little bit of contact in the middle, but it looks as though Ortelli has held the lead going into turn 1. Afanasyev is pushed out wide. Vanthoor slots into second place. Trying to get around the outside there is René Rast. René Rast is up in a 3rd position. That's a phenomenal start. On board we go with Caca Bueno now, battling in the field. he looks like he's lost a number of places. That's the Grasser Racing Lamborghini coming past. Afanasiev runs wide onto the grass, keeps it all together on the run down into turn 4. But the long and short of it is Stephane Ortelli leads, and I think René Rast has gone from way down on the 4th row of the grid up into 3rd place.
Well, a brilliant start from a driver who knows how to get around a lap, the opening lap of any race, and use the long way round. Everybody will naturally dive towards the inside as the cars fight their way through the first of the 3 chicanes, and then up and over the hill and the drop down into turns 8 and 9.
So down through this sweeping left-hander. It's Stephane Ortelli out in the lead, but it's WRT 2 and 3. Afanasiev will be very frustrated that he got kind of bullied out at the first corner, which is always going to happen if you're starting on the outside. As we go back on board then with Alvaro Perez. That's Karun Chandok in front of him. This is a challenge from the Nova driver car trying to get past Matej Stumpf, but he's unable to do it just yet. He's going to have another look down into turn 12, the hairpin. But the BMW is really struggling in a straight line, and as a result, he can't seem to get close to the back of Dominic Baumann at the moment.
Well, a little bit of progress from Alvaro Perez. He's made up 3 positions now. The Nissan getting embroiled in the battle with the BMW and the Ferrari. And Alex Buncombe in that car, and going one way and back the other way.
Into the left-hander they come. And so it's Sergio Jimenez ahead of Fabio Anidi, ahead of Alex Buncombe. As they turn through turn 1, that's all the squabble over 9th place. With that BMW up at the front, but 0.8 of a second is the gap at the front that Stephane Ortelli has managed to pull out over Laurens Vanthoor. And here comes Buncombe now trying to get back past Anidi as they come into turn 4.
Well, so this car, the Nissan, being really strong in a straight line, and we can go Monza, different events, the GT Series, but same driver, same basic car, but not able to do anything with the Ferrari in the climb up the hill into the chicane. Turn 5, turn 6, quick left, quick right, stay off the curbs, could do damage if you don't.
Over the hill they come, Jimenez in 9th place, starting to back everyone up. Laurens Vanthoor's just gone purple in sector 1, so he's the quickest man on the circuit at the moment as they wind their way through these chicanes. And look at how heavily Karun Chandok is having to defend. In fact, Matej Stumpf has got past Alvaro Perez, so Perez was right behind Chandok as we go on board with him, but now he's got a Ford GT in between him and the Mercedes in front.
Well, I think Alvaro Perez just found himself in the wrong bit of track at the wrong time. He's now looking to dive down the inside, one of the favourite places to try and make an overtake. Does it successfully into turn 12.
Here's the race lead though. The gap is very, very close between the 2 of them. Stephane Ortelli, the Slovakian driver, holding off Laurens Vanthoor at the moment. There's Hans Reiter, very happy to be in the series. They missed the opening round in Nagaro, but they're here for the rest of the season. It's brilliant to have them here, especially if they're going to contribute to such fantastic racing up at the front. Look how close Vanthoor is now.
Well, he said he drove the best race of his life, he thought, 2 to 3 weekends ago in Nagaro. He's doing it again, right on the tail of the Lamborghini and being chased by René Rast. He's not going to give Vanthoor 1 centimetre of track. If he can see a gap, he'll go for it.
Absolutely, it's fantastic racing up at the front. The 3 of them head out along the back straight once again for the 4th time towards the chicane. And Sergei Afanasiev needs to be careful because he's got Mike Parisi right up behind him. And has the move been made here? Yes, Caca Bueno has got past the Lamborghini. And now Dominic Baumann's coming under pressure from Cesar Campanico in the Nova driver Audi. So good work there. And in the background you can see that Alvaro Perez has just dealt with Karun Chandok. Yep, Alvaro Perez in the 9 McLaren.
Yeah, up to 15th place.
The door's open on that Mercedes, isn't it? As it comes across the line. The door's open. And here we go on board with Caca Bueno. This is the move then being... Oh, that's opportunistic.
Well,
good
that
stuff.
certainly was a brave manoeuvre. Oh, back end kicked out coming out of turn 1.
Stephane's pushing, isn't he, as they come into turn 2. And that will allow Laurens Vanthoor to close in a little bit. Peter Charouz has managed to shut his door.
Let's look again. He runs the curve, and then the back end just sort of snaps. That very sudden snap oversteer. Unpredictable from a driver's point of view.
Brilliant racing here in FIA GT Series. Off goes on Edie. Him and Jimenez may have had a little coming together. Alex Buncombe on the outside, trying to get past. Here comes Caca Bueno as well to try and take advantage, but obviously the BMW is going to struggle in a straight line. So close between them. We're looking at it from board with Parent as they come into turn 1. Onidi doesn't know Bueno's there, does he? There's just about room. Buncombe holds the position. Jimenez drops in behind. Parent's going to try and get past Onidi. Good stuff from Alvaro Perez, and Onidi loses 3 places in as many moments. Let's see how he did it then, John.
Yes, this is a typical perfect position of the car. Bueno goes to the inside of the main pit straight to block the McLaren going down as they come into turn 1. but the McLaren just had that little bit more speed. Also was able to turn in that little bit later. Gives room on the inside for the BMW to make sure he doesn't pinch the Brazilian driver. Gets the position and a relatively easy overtake.
Has Alvaro Parent just made a move on Alex Buncombe? Yes, he has. So Alvaro Parent is now up into 10th position.
Well, let's look and see into turn 5. Oh, and then the Nissan gets all over the place. Hip, hop, skip and a jump. And that's where the car didn't get past all the way around, the long way around, the risky way around the outside, because it's very dirty in the outside.
Alvaro Parent still, though, staring at the back of this BMW now.
Well, Sergio Jimenez is a different experience to that of Caca Bueno, with his European experience, and he knows how to use the track. Alvaro Parent looks down the inside. Is there contact? Oh, what an error, what an error. That was no way. That's going to be a penalty for Alvaro Parent. He was not clear enough to make that manoeuvre as he dived down into the inside.
This is Bueno now, isn't it? This is Bueno, Jimenez's teammate. But, well, I was just singing Alvaro's praises, but he did a very similar thing in Nogaro, didn't he? Hitting René Rast. Who's going to come out in the lead? It is Laurens Vanthoor has got past Stephane Ortelli.
Well, that's probably a great manoeuvre down into turn 1. We will probably get a look at that a little bit later.
And here's the battle now for second.
Oh,
René Rast attacking.
He nearly overran the back of Rosina there into turn 1, but again he's going to go one way, then cut down the inside of turn 2. Puts the Audi in the inside. I mean, how easy was that?
The pit stop window opens, so in comes Sergio Jimenez, in comes Dominic Baumann, and in comes Karun Chandok. So interesting to see how that pans out. But there is the 13 Audi, which is actually leading the championship. Frank Stippler and Edward Sandstrom, after winning the main race in France, are the current championship leaders, but that may well change here because they're down in 7th place, but looking very, very close. Now, you'd think that they would pit as soon as possible, wouldn't you, to get out from behind that Audi in front.
I mean, it's obvious you want to get out of this battle. Frank Stippler's been basically running behind Anthony Kumpert all race, quicker than Kumpert in the identical Audis. Frank Stippler not likely to do anything too... Oh, that's nice. Close the door, guys. What are you doing? Gee, I mean, you're not playing football.
Sergio Jimenez a little bit frustrated. That's
never. I mean, that's a sort of a
and that's going to be a close release between the BMW and the Mercedes. The BMW has to get out of it, and well, all sorts going on. That's a lot of flair down at the Brazilian garage at the moment, but that means the Mercedes actually got past
doors open
the doors open again. Someone needs to kick that one as they come into the right-hander. Oh, look at this. These 3 cars that were battling over 6th place have now come into the pits line astern. This is going to be fun, isn't it?
Well, Frank Stippler turned right and he almost hit the barrier. He thought he was going into the pit lane a little bit quicker than he actually was.
Don't take off your seatbelts, Alvaro, until you've actually come to a stop.
What he's done is loosened the shoulder straps, which you're allowed to do. It's undoing the buckle that holds the whole harness together, brings it to a stop. Now the hand on the belts, gets out pretty quick indeed, getting out of the car.
Now, Parent was behind this queue. That queue of 3 cars, he was behind. So if he can get a good pit stop here, he might be able to get out in front. This is going to be absolutely fascinating. The order was Phoenix, WRT, Gravity Charouz, then Sebastien Loeb racing. We'll see if any of them can take an advantage. There is Sebastien Loeb then, strapped into his car, fires up the engine, and away he goes, and he's got past them all.
But he's also still pulling on his seatbelt as he's moving.
Well, we need to... He's got past the Phoenix Audi, so maybe he hasn't got past them all. No, HTP Gravity Charouz machine comes out, then Loeb, then the Phoenix Audi. Out climbs Stephane Ortelli, and in climbs Peter Cox, the 49-year-old Dutchman from Eindhoven. Very experienced racer. In comes Laurens Vanthoor to hand over to Stephane Ortelli. Now, they can't come in at the same time, can they? Because it's just one WRT squad, so that means that René Rast now inherits the lead of this race as he comes across the line, moves into the lead, but he'll be coming into the pits before too long.
So Stephane Ortelli into what had been the lead Audi. Great job by Laurens Vanthoor to get ahead of Stephane Ortelli in the Lamborghini. Pulled away. There is the Lamborghini now with Peter Cox. So it's going to be tight because Peter Cox is what, half a kilometre away. Is the Audi still getting serviced in the pit lane off the jacks now? Should be fairly comfortable.
Bit of a slow getaway, but Peter Cox,
Cox comes over the pit straight.
Enough. So Peter Cox comes over the start-finish straight. Stephane Ortelli is already coming around the exit of turn 1, so Ortelli holds the position to Peter Cox.
Easily.
Drive-through penalty for Sebastien Loeb for contact with car 21, which was obviously Sergio Jimenez, and so it's a drive-through penalty for Sebastien Loeb. We saw it coming, his teammate Alvaro Perrin.
I think the thing that's unfortunate is that it's Sebastien Loeb who's got to serve the penalty for his co-driver, who was the perpetrator of the issue. It comes Sebastien Loeb for the drive-through penalty, taking it as early as possible, which he's required to do. Then René Rast almost overrunning the tail of his sister Audi.
Yep, that was the Nova driver car, I think, of Carlos Vieira, but into the pits then comes René Rast. The battle is going to be predominantly for the lead with Stephane Ortelli, but then secondly, as the car exits the pits, secondly, the battle for second place with Peter Cox. There is Mayer Melnoff. Very impressive. His pace has been... he started the year as an amateur driver, but he was so good in Nogaro that he's become a pro. Brake dust flying off the front brakes as they come into the stops. WRT very, very strong with their pit stops.
René Rast, the shorter of the two drivers, he drives with an insert in the seat, so that the basic seat position remains the same. So when Melnhoff gets into the car, just flips out that insert, jumps into the car, and everything in position of steering wheel, pedals, and all the controls are ideal for the taller driver. He's off. Well, he's off.
This is going to be a bit close, actually. Nicky Melnoff coming down towards turn 1. There's the third place Lamborghini, but it's the lead Audi that's the important one as they come in towards turn 2. Where are we at then? Mayer Melnoff holds into second place just about, but Peter Cox will have hotter tyres.
Correct, that's the key. Peter Cox is on warm tyres. Also the Mercedes slowing down. So look at Peter Cox, he's going to try and make the manoeuvre as quickly as possible. Into turn 4 isn't really possible, easy to defend. Next opportunity, up the hill, get a good drive for Peter Cox in the Lamborghini. Melnhoff is going to stay on the left-hand side on the way up. Now Cox cuts back to the right, gets alongside, but not enough to take the corner.
Oh, it's going to be close between the two of them coming into the chicane. Brilliant racing. Mayer Melnoff defends well. This is the battle over second place in the race. Peter Cox looks to the inside again, but coming into the quick left-hander, it's at turn 7. It's not really an opportunity. Down into the chicane, and this will get Mayer Melnoff a little bit flustered, I think. Oh, he's run a little bit wide coming through the right-hander. That's not going to give Cox an opportunity. These corners out the back of the circuit so fast.
Yeah, but into turn 12 is going to be another opportunity for Peter Cox. Melnhoff is going to have to go very wide. Cox goes to the left, tries to take the traditional line and get the cut back on the outside, and he's got it easy.
Peter Cox makes it through into second place. Nicky Mayer Melnoff in an almost identical manoeuvre to how he lost the lead of the race in Nogaro, just being a little bit too busy looking in his mirrors, misses his braking point. Cox is through.
So we see the bloke fixing the door finally on Ricardo Zonza's BMW.
And so Andreas Zuber, desperate to try and get past, up into third place. We can now hear from his teammate, Mike Parisi. He's with Emily.
Mike, do you think you can overtake for third?
It is very close with the Audi of Mayer Melnoff and Rast. It's very difficult here to overtake, so we have some driver, very good driver, just behind us.
There is a spin, unfortunately, for Lucas Ordóñez. Does a nice little donut to get out of trouble. But
that was probably the result of either trying to overtake or trying to defend, but whatever it was, got it all wrong in turn 12 and the car went wrong.
It must have been with Carlos Vieira.
Well,
yes, there is Carlos Vieira trying to force his way past Ordóñez down into 12, and that's a shame because it's knocked Ordóñez out of third place in the Pro-Am category, and it's also, by the looks of things, knocked something awry within the Nissan itself. Sebastien Loeb is in the pit lane here. That's a real shame for Sebastien Loeb. And the left rear wheel is off.
Well, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, couldn't quite catch
whether the wheel came off on its own or whether certainly there's something that they're uncertain about, and I wonder whether that might have been a wheel detaching itself.
The clock hits 0. We're on the final lap of the qualifying race here in Belgium. And I don't think there's anything that Andreas Zuber is going to be able to do. Ortelli on the brakes, into the chicane. Into the final corner comes Stephane Ortelli. He and Vanthor have done a brilliant job today. They wrestled the lead away from the Lamborghini. Ortelli flashes his lights because he's winning in the qualifying race here in Belgium. Vanthor looking happy with that one in his trademark beanie. Second place for Peter Cox as he comes across the line. Who's going to be third? It's going to be Nicky Meyer-Melnhof. Very good job for Nicky. He and René Rast finish in third place. This whole queue of 5 cars across the line is Sandstrom, Andreas Simonsen and Alan Day. Enzo Eid will finish in 8th place, which will be a little bit of a disappointment considering they started in 6th, but nevertheless, not bad. They had quite a slow pit stop. 9th place will be Philippe Salaquada, just holding off Jan Seyfarth. Salaquada finishing 2nd in the Pro-Am category, and it'll be 11th place for Alain Coder for BMW Team Brazil. Here's a look at the results from the qualifying race then. Audi, Lamborghini, Audi the top 3, with Stephane Ortelli and Laurens Vanthor taking the victory. 10 seconds clear in the end of Peter Cox and Stefan Racina. Nicky Meyer-Melnhof and René Rast were finishing in third place because Andy Zuber couldn't do anything about getting past Meyer-Melnhof in front. Sandstrom and Sippler in 5th place. Simonsen and Afanasiev winning the Pro-Am class. You can tell the Pro-Am by the black around their white number. And that means second in class was Philippe Salaquada and Fabio Anidi in the AF Corsa Ferrari, finishing down in 9th place. And, well, we can now hear from our race winners. Let's start with Laurens Vanthor.
Laurens Vanthor, congratulations. Brilliant drive. Stephane Ortelli brought that Audi home. Sweet as a nut.
Yeah, it's fantastic, especially because I live here less than 1 minute from here, so it's really my home race. And for WRT and Audi, it's Belgium Audi Club, it's a home race, so I think we cannot wish each other a better result than that, so very happy.
And you had a good pass on Stefan Rossini in the Lamborghini in your stint.
Yeah, it was difficult to get past him because on the bottom edge, on the acceleration, he was always a little bit better, and it was difficult to get behind on the braking, but then I could put some pressure on him and he made a mistake, and then we could pass him, so it was a nice job.
Well done. Stefan, tell us your story. It looked awfully easy. Nobody to pass, no one to race with.
No, he did the job. I mean, the car was really good, hard to fight, like hell, trying to set a good pace because you never know, and especially with Peter Cox, he was so fast. I mean, they were unreachable in qualify, so we don't really know how it was going to be for the last lap. So I was a bit struggling in the end, but it's okay, and he did the biggest move of the day again. So yeah, I'm very pleased for him, especially he, and also for WRT. It's our first win this year. Last win we had was Russia. So it's been a long time, you know. Russia was end of August, so we are pleased to win again together.
Well done, guys. Pole position for tomorrow.
Indeed, that's the most important point, Watty. Pole position for tomorrow. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the main race of the second round of the FIA GT Series of 2013. This second round coming to you from Belgium and the Zolder circuit, just outside of Hasselt, about an hour from Brussels, and you can see the busy grid here is starting to form. There is the car of Peter Cox, the 49-year-old Dutchman from Eindhoven. He's one to be reckoned with, really, because him and Ortelli will be similarly paced. There is Sebastien Loeb just readying himself in the cockpit. It's going to be very, very busy for him. He has done racing before. He started at Le Mans, so he knows all about busy starts, but there's a little bit of, you know, you take it a little bit easy at Le Mans because you've got 24 hours to do your racing in, but here, a good start is very important. Alvaro Parent couldn't really make as much ground as he would have wanted in the start yesterday. That orange Mercedes at the back of the field, good to see that out, and also the number 8 Ford, because the number 8 Ford at the back here didn't start yesterday because of a gearbox problem. They found a new gearbox, or sourced a new gearbox, and that will start the race. Felipe Tozzo and Raja Mascarello at the back, and then that orange machine is the other gentleman trophy machine, the second Seyfarth car. Life's not bad if you're Stefan Rattal there, as he heads back down to the pit lane to find somewhere around the circuit or in the garages. There's a good vantage point for this race. Here's a look at the grid. Pole position, Stephane Ortelli. Peter Cox alongside him in the Lamborghini. Then we've got the second WRT Belgian Audi Club of Nicky Meyer-Melnhof. And then Andreas Zuber in the Sebastien Loeb Racing McLaren is in 4th. Edward Sandstrom in 5th. Andreas Simonsen starting that Mercedes SLS in 6th place. Watch out for them. Alan Day in 7th in the first the second Mercedes, I should say, followed by Enzo Ede in the Ferrari. Philippe Salaquada behind in the Ferrari 458. Harry Procek, watch out for him because he's going to have some decent pace, I think, this afternoon. The Lamborghini is very strong around here. Claudio Ricci starting the number 7 Ford GT. Carlos Vieira currently leading the Pro-Am category in the Nova driver car. They start in 13th place. Sebastien Loeb there, starting in 17th, just ahead of Lucas Ordóñez in 18th place. Ricardo Zonta will have a lot of ground to make up from 19th. And then Raja Mascarello will start that number 8 Ford GT that didn't get out yesterday. So on board with Sebastien Loeb we go. The main race about to get underway here in Zolder. It's Stephane Ortelli on pole position, and he and Peter Cox will duel it out, as well as the 18 other cars on the grid. When the red lights go out, which they do now, it's a good start. Look at that, coming straight to the right-hand side for Edward Sandstrom to get the inside line and move up into third place. Andreas Zuber's trying to hold that third place as well, though, around the outside. We go on board with Loeb. It's all kicking off in front of him. A bit of contact between the Audi and the Ferrari. We're all safely through as they come into the right-hander now, and has oh, there's contact. Around goes Sebastien Loeb. He's gone into the side of Jan Seifert.
Yeah, he didn't really get far enough alongside the Mercedes coming into turn 2, and consequently the side swipe and the Mercedes substantial car. There are two others, Mercedes and the Nissan, the Blancpain also.
Yeah, Lucas Ordóñez obviously got caught up behind all that. We may have had a change for the lead. You know, I didn't quite spot it as they come down into the first corner, or has Nicky Meermanov had a bad start? Meermanov's had a bad start, but Peter Cox is in the lead. The Lamborghini managed to make it through. The other Lamborghini bounces over at the chicane, but Cox leads, and look at Nicky Meermanov way down the field now. Here comes the attack from Caca Bueno, coming, Alan Caldera, I should say, starting that number 0 BMW. As they wind their way through, there's Duda Rosa getting really in the mix. He's up with the Pro-Am guys and some of the Pro guys as well. Great start from Duda.
A wilder start this afternoon than we saw on Saturday in the qualifying race. Clearly that contact in turn 2, almost predictable. Sadly, two cars, whether they're going to be out of the race or not, whether they can recover and get back into it, we have to just wait and see.
Well, Jan Seifert is out of the race. It's just been confirmed on the timing screens, but as they come into the chicane then, leading the way is Peter Cox. A brilliant start from him. It didn't look as though he was really in the mix to hold on to the lead, but as they come across the line at the end of lap 1, he's got a 2.2 second advantage, and it's a front left puncture for Sebastien Loeb. What a nightmare he is having in the championship.
Well, when I said to him in the interview, this is motor racing, I'm not sure whether he fully understood his Audi's going off track there.
That's Anthony Kumpen going all over the place.
Mr. Zolder, 24-hour specialist, 6 wins, 10 attempts, 2 Nissans. Oh, look at the damage to the front of Ordóñez's car. That is, well, that's probably not going to make it back out into the field.
That's a real shame for the RJ and Nissan crew. I didn't really see. Oh, look, there's a wheel.
That's a tyre.
Yeah,
that's from
tyre,
Sebastian Vettel. Sebastien Loeb.
So into the pits come both of the Nissans. Loeb comes into the pits now as well. They're going to change the tyres, or just the one tyre, obviously, because that's the punctured one. As the car drops to the ground and they fire out. Lucas Ordóñez is out of the race. You can see the gesticulations there. It looks as though Mark Szulzicki can see what happened to him, but he has got going again and heads out. But there is Lucas Ordóñez. What a disappointing start to the race. It looked, we didn't really see it, but it looked as though he just got caught up behind the two cars colliding in front of him and nowhere he could really go as he heads back off into the garage. And that's race over for him. And Alex Buncombe needn't get changed as they come down the back straight there. This is second and third place. Peter Cox has built up 3.3 seconds now. Very impressive in these early stages from Peter Cox. Yes, he's very experienced, but Ortelli's no mug.
Trouble for Mercedes.
Oh yeah, that's the HTP Gravity Giroux's car. Alan Day is cruising, you can see him there, and that's a real shame for Alan and the HTP Giroux squad because they're currently third in the championship.
Let's look again to the start and wonder what happened. What happened to Nicky Meermanov?
Cox had already got through into the lead on the exit there. Loeb had made up quite a few positions actually. A car runs wide in front of him. He darts through the middle. So Cox was already in the lead as we see. And then that Mercedes gets out of shape. Loeb's going to dive through the middle here. Sees the gap on the inside into 2.
I mean, he did the right thing, nothing wrong with what Sebastien Loeb, but he probably didn't. Oh, there's the Mercedes, and that's what happens. The Nissan of Ordóñez really had nowhere to go. Racetrack completely, just had no room.
Well, here we go then. This is going to be the interesting thing. We're on board with Loeb coming down into the first corner. nice and late on the brakes. Everything opens up in front of him. That Mercedes on the right-hand side is going to be the one he tries to get past. And let's see, is this... The Mercedes goes wide.
Yeah, but in reality, from the onboard shot, and we saw that yesterday with this very car with Alvaro Perez, unless you are slightly further forward, in other words, your front wheel level with the door of the car you're overtaking, but at the point in the opening lap, the Mercedes didn't even have a clue what was going on one side or the other side, and frankly, he just was, all concentration was focusing ahead.
As they come into the braking zone, there's contact there, isn't there? Nicky Meyer-Melnhof just given a little nudge, I think, from Carlos Vieira behind. As they come out onto the back straight, this is going to be a chance for Vieira. He's tucked right up underneath the Audi in front of him. Alain Cordair just keeping our watching brief, but nothing doing just yet. This is going to compromise Meyer-Melnhof's run. Out onto the start-finish straight, though, and Carlos Vieira manages to get alongside. Meyer-Melnhof moves across. They touch. They rub. Look at that. Vieira says, "You're not pulling me out here. You're staying down there, Mr. Meyer-Melnhof." Alain Cordair watches on, and around the outside goes Carlos Vieira. Can he keep it on the road? Yes, he can. Good stuff. He moves up into 7th place.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of bodywork trim on the racetrack. The BMW slides up the inside of Nicky Meyer-Melnhof, and really he just got bullied by the BMW and by the Audi, losing 2 places in the space of 2 corners, now coming under attack from the Lamborghini. And, well, Nicky Meyer-Melnhof had a bad start from a second row grid starting position. And Caca Bueno, he's happy with that little manoeuvre by his co-driver, Alain Day. And now under attack from the Lamborghini coming up. Really, it's desperate moments for the Audi and Nicky Meyer-Melnhof.
Here comes Harry Procek then. This is the battle over 8th place now. Sorry, 9th place, I should say. Procek looks out to the inside, later on the brakes into turn 1. Good move, that one.
Well, I mean, that was as easy as you could ever ask, because Nicky Meyer-Melnhof stayed well on the right-hand side of the track. Harry Procek had the run, and he just saw the open door or the open goal, and he put his foot or the ball, whichever your analogies are, into it and got that position, and that's about as easy an overtake as you're going to get into turn 1.
Oh, there's a problem for Raja Mascarello.
Yeah.
The car darting around a little bit.
I wonder whether he's got a tyre problem, maybe picked up something in the opening laps. It doesn't look stable at the rear at all.
So there's the fans watching on as we go on board now with Stephane Ortelli. He comes out onto the start-finish straight. Let's see the gap between him and Peter Cox then as he comes across the line, and it is now 5.6 seconds still.
Well, just get an eye on Stephane Ortelli, just turns into turn 1. Making very, very small adjustments on the steering wheel on the entry, then relaxes as he goes up into turn 2, left on the brake, catches the apex, doesn't take too much of it on the inside, lets the car run out to the outside, blends corner 2 into turn 3, then the short sprint down to 4.
And there's Frank Stippler ready to take over from the 3rd place car, so that's going to be, there's only 6/10 of a second between them, so that's going to be a good battle between Sebastien Loeb Racing and WRT in the pits. Yesterday, Sebastien Loeb Racing managed to put in a quick time, 54 seconds, WRT doing it about 50 seconds, so you only need one little mistake here or there and things can swing around.
Now the pit stop window's open, it is opportunity for the pits to make some of those overtakes.
So we've got cars diving in left, right and centre. There is Zolder and Parisi, and there's René Rast waiting to take over from Nicky Meyer-Melnhof. To the pits he comes.
Lots and lots of carbon brake dust coming from the front wheels as the Audi comes to a stop.
Rast puts in his booster seat, and let's hope he's turned the engine off this time.
I think that was a lesson well learned. Mike Parisi on his way, as is the Mercedes. So seeing Andreas Simonsen following out behind the McLaren. Good pit stop, I think, for this René Rast car. So they will have picked up, I think, a little bit of track position.
Oh, problem here on the left rear.
Well, and it is a big problem. That tyre there's been damage, and the consequence of the tyre is deflated, and it's now being shredded as the car's been driven back to the pits.
Here's the first thing to look out for then of the front runners, and it's Edward Sandstrom pushing hard into the pit lane.
Very hard indeed. Got to slow down to 60 kilometers per hour as he came across the line. And if you exceed that 60 kilometers per hour, then you will have a penalty. A drive-through will be the case as we wait.
It's Mike Parisi then that this battle is with, isn't it? There's Loeb in the pits, the second Sebastien Loeb racing machine.
Wait and see, is that going to be a problem?
That was going to be close,
releasing the McLaren, and no, it's not a problem. I thought it might have been, but no, it wasn't. So
So Sandstrom comes in, and basically they were ahead of Mike Parisi, and a little bit of tanglement there. They were ahead of Mike Parisi and Andreas Zuber, but only just when they came into the pits.
René Rast on his out lap, fastest first sector time, fastest second sector time. This man is on a mission.
He is indeed. Let's see how far up the order René Rast can get. Here comes Mike Parisi then. Will Frank Stippler be able to get out in front? That looked like a pretty sweet pit stop. There is Parisi turning through, and there is Stippler out of the pits. So good work from WRT.
Very, very good work indeed. That's what you want to see when you're in an endurance race or even an hour-long race with a change of drivers. Still got the lead.
René Rast, sorry to interrupt you, John, he's just done a 31.1, which is 0.8 of a second quicker than anyone else has done so far in this race. In comes Ortelli to hand over to Vanthor then, and Peter Cox has stayed out.
But I think that Lamborghini and the rider engineering need to be cautious, because I suspect that the lap time that we're seeing for Peter Cox is dropping marginally because he's behind the BMW. A quick stop from this Audi and Laurens Vanthor behind the wheel, and then putting Stefan Rosina into the Lamborghini, all have elements of bringing the lead car and the second place car when the pit stop window is closed, all much closer than it was when the pit stop window opened.
So out of the pits goes Laurens Vanthor. On board with him as he comes through the left-hander at the end of the pit lane. And we're not going to learn anything just yet. He's going to come out in front of Frank Stippler, but that was unsurprising. And there's a wheel. Where's that come from?
Well, it came from
an Audi. It must have come from the Audi. Vincent Voss wants to know as well.
Well, it came from the Audi, but the Audi doesn't know that the wheel has come off.
But
this is Laurens Vanthor.
He's still driving fairly casually, Vanthor.
Well, I mean, the cars are relatively stiff. He will know now, because the team will have been on the radio to tell him the wheel has come off.
But
How unusual.
But here he is, look, he's fine. He's got all four wheels on his wagon, hasn't he?
Somebody else.
Goodness me, yeah, he's got all four of them.
So where did that come from?
There we go. It's a Ford wheel.
I knew it was a Ford wheel. I think that the design of those, I knew it was that. I didn't want to say just because, you know, it would have been wrong to contradict you, Jack.
So, unfortunately, that was Matthias Stumpf, who's lost a wheel, his front left wheel, and that's a miserable day now for the Ford GTs.
And is this going to be a safety car intervention?
Well, more importantly, here is Peter Cox in the pits. I think that's on the exit of the pit lane, though, so it's not too much of a dramatic position. But out of the pits now comes Stefan Rosina. Where is the Audi? He's coming around the final corner now. This is going to be easy for Stefan Rosina to hold on to the lead of the race, I believe, as he comes through. He's got to go through the yellow flag zone, make sure he doesn't clatter into the side of the Ford, but Rosina comes out of the pits and rejoins in the lead of the race. This is a good opportunity now for René Rast. He's got a car length between him and Kumpen in front of him. Is he just going to send it in on the brakes? Kumpen's going to turn in, and he's very, very confident, this Kumpen. He needs to now hold the inside line coming down into turn two. There's a bit of a gap there, but he's defending that one nicely as well. As they come through the chicane, he and Enzo Eid aren't looking like championship challengers this season, but they're looking like solid top 10 runners, hence this battle over 5th place down into the chicane.
And you can see René Rast is later on the brakes, and just he's got a car that turns direction marginally better than that of Anthony Kumpen's. That's just down to driver preference in terms of how they have the car set up. But nonetheless, even with the marginal advantage that René Rast appears to have with his Audi, it's not enough to really give him a serious platform to launch a challenge, unless an error comes from Anthony Kumpen. Right now, up into final two turns, 15 and 16. Is he going to look down the inside? He's
there he goes.
Himself. He's
René Rast, good attempt, and he's managed to get through. Mehrmanov is happy, but will it all be done? Yes, it will. Good traction out of the final corner for René Rast, and I don't think Kumpen's going to have an answer to that one.
Let's look again. René Rast goes to the right, then feints back to the left. This is his opportunity. He's got to launch himself down the inside. And Kumpen just turned in, and he realised the other Audi is precisely in the bit of racetrack he wanted and had to turn away.
Absolutely so. Great move from René Rast. There is the battle for the race lead, though. Stefan Rosina leading the way, but Laurens Vanthor has gone green in Sector 1. He's done the best Sector 2 of anyone in the race so far, a 33.263. And Vanthor is really pushing now. Peter Cox in the garage with Emily.
Peter, do you think you can hold him off?
I hope. I mean, Stephane is a very good driver, and obviously the other competitor is quite strong here. It's his home track, but I think Stephane is doing a good job, and it'll be close, but we're pushing.
The rear tyres are beginning to cry enough. I can see the Lamborghini now twice in this lap getting marginally out of shape, and that's going to give great hope to Laurens Vanthoor. He needs to be patient through these sequence of corners. There's not much he can do. He can have a look if he's brave down into turn 12, but he's got to position himself to get the exit off turn 11. Perfect, but I don't think he's going to make a chance down the inside again, defended by Rosina. But again, the pressure is obviously working on Rosina. He's having to be defensive. He knows that the back of his car has lost grip.
Ortelli is really suffering, isn't he? He gets very close into turn 2. Is that an opportunity up the inside? He knows it's towards the inside line. Almost contact between the pair of them. Vanthoor had to get out of it, I think, and get onto the curb a little bit. Up into turn 4 now. The Lamborghini just getting a bit out of shape on the exit of 4 as they head down under the bridge. The Pirelli tyres on the Lamborghini, because of the way they've set it up, starting to struggle a little bit. There's Peter Cox's daughter. She can't cope with the tension either. Look at how much Vanthoor pounds those curbs coming through 8 and 9. But it's just not enough. He knows he needs to get as close as possible coming down into this hairpin on the right-hand side, but he just can't do it. It's through turn 10 that the Lamborghini's very strong. Almost a nudge there. But across the start-finish line they come. About a car length and a half between them. On board with Vanthoor. He's gone for it into turn 1. Does Rosina see him coming? He does. He leaves a little bit of space and holds on to the lead of the race. Into turn 2. Vanthoor's going to try and get the cut back. There's almost a touch, and Rosina's still holding the lead. Round of applause in the Ryder garage, because that might be it, you know, because Rosina has built up enough of a gap now. I don't know if he'll be under pressure at all in the remaining part of this lap. Vanthoor knew he had to go for it. Great fair racing between the two of them. Into the chicane. Oh, Vanthoor had to dab on the brakes just coming out of the second one because he tried to take so much speed through, and I think that will be enough now for Stephane Rosina to hold on. Into the Villeneuve chicane. Look how much curb Vanthoor is taking. He's not giving up just yet. It's through this right-hander that he needs to keep the pace up, but he's not quite as quick as the Lamborghini through that turn 10. The left-hand kink at 11 is a nothing corner. Down into 12. His last chance is into the final chicane, and he is right up behind the Lamborghini. This could be it. He might be close enough to send a lunge here. The final corner of the race. The battle for the lead in FIA GT. He goes for it. He's not close enough. Rosina holds on. But Vanthoor might get the cutback. There's a little bit of a touch, but Stephane Rosina has just done enough. The checker flag falls. A fantastic main race here in FIA GT, and Stephane Rosina wins the race. He and Peter Cox take the win. Laurens Vanthoor, a spirited drive to second place. Phenomenal racing. Frank Stippler third. Mike Parisi and Andreas Zuber in fourth. René Rast crossed the line in a brilliant fifth place after a wonderful drive from him. And Ryder are delighted. What a finale. Great work from the pair of them. It's great to have Ryder here in the series. They're going to be here for the rest of the year as well with this Lamborghini. And we can now hear from Stephane Rosina and Peter Cox there with Watty.
Peter Cox, Stephane Rosina, that was a tense finish, but a great job by you in the opening stint.
Yes, it was. We changed the car. The boys of Ryder Engineering did a fantastic job overnight, and we had a really good car. I had a good start, and Stephane Ortelli did also a good start and let me live. So it was a lot of respect, I think, also from Vanthoor against Stephane. I think it was really clean driving, and Stephane did a good job because the brakes were already on the limit when I went out, so it was not easy for him, but he did really well.
Stephane, how did you deal with that pressure? Because you were under it really the last 20 minutes.
Oh, it was very difficult. I mean, yesterday it was much more difficult. I was much more nervous. Now I knew that I could handle it, and yeah, I pushed hard. I tried to really concentrate on my job, and you know, this guy made 6 seconds ahead of the second person. So, you know, I had to bring it home, and I'm very lucky. So thanks to the team, and thanks to the boys, and thanks to my team.
Here's a look at the results then. 0.4 of a second between them as they cross the line. The Blancpain Reiter Lamborghini winning the race. Peter Cox and Stephane Ortelli. Fourth place for Mike Parisi and Andreas Zuber. Decent points all there for Sebastien Loeb Racing, whilst the sister McLaren didn't pick up any points at all. René Rast, a star again, finishing in 5th place after getting past Enzo Eden and Anthony Kumpen. Simonsen and Afanasiev win the Pro-Am Cup race with Carlos Vieira and Cesar Campanico in 2nd. Vieira and Campanico will hold on to their Pro-Am advantage. Ricardo Zonta and Sergio Jimenez in 11th, and Alain Cordair and Caca Bueno there in 8th place. Great result for them, the first of the Brazilians. And then further down the field, we have the last of our finishers, really. Sebastien Loeb and Alvaro Parent, a real difficult weekend for them. No points picked up. What a shame. Szolzicki and Wright finishing in 14th place. Jan Stovacek and Peter Charouz winning the Gentleman's Trophy ahead of Duda Rosa and Paolo Bonifacio. And then we had retirements from the 2 Fords, the Mercedes and the Nissan on the first lap of Ordonez and Alex Buncombe. A real shame for them. The race winners, Peter Cox and Stephane Ortelli. What a fantastic performance here in Zolder for them. And now the champagne is sprayed. Absolutely top work from Stephane Ortelli in defending. Vanthoor manages to pop his cork in the end. Ortelli really the man of the day. Here's the championship then. Ortelli and Vanthoor have moved into the lead, 2 points clear of Edward Sandstrom and Frank Stippler. And look at that. 1 win, 1 appearance for Cox and Ortelli, and they're up into 3rd place in the championship, only 12 points off the lead. Meermanov and Rast in 4th, Kumpen and Eid in 5th, and the big losers, Maximilian Buch and Alan Day, have gone from 3rd in the championship to 6th in the championship in just 1 race, which is a real shame for them. Join us in Zandvoort in July for the next round of the FIA GT Series. Thank you for joining us.